Hello and welcome to Indus News with me, Osman Lone. We'll begin this hour with our top story, and that's in India, where university students have been injured in protests against the new controversial citizenship law. The law will give nationality to non-Muslim immigrants from 3 neighbouring countries. Demonstrations in Aligarh University began when police stormed Delhi's Jamia Millia University. Indian police arrested 100 students and activists for protesting against the bill in Assam. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered outside the Delhi police headquarters, demanding the release of those detained. Nationwide protests broke out in Hyderabad, Banaras, Kolkata and Kerala. 6 people have been killed in Assam, and railway stations in Delhi have been set on fire. Well, moving on, newly elected British MPs have vowed to highlight the crisis in Indian-occupied Kashmir in the UK's Parliament. 15 British MPs of Pakistani and Kashmiri descent were elected in Friday's general elections. MP Afzal Khan said he will support the Kashmir cause according to the UN Security Council resolutions. Another MP, Yasmin Qureshi, said India will have to give millions of Kashmiris their right to self-determination. MP Imran Hussain said they will use their offices to remind the world of its duty to settle the Kashmir dispute as per people's aspirations. Meanwhile, New Delhi's curfew and communications blackout has entered the 134th day. Well, Chinese President Xi Jinping says he backs Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam. After meeting Lam in Beijing, Xi said he supports the city's police to uphold the law. Premier Li Keqiang told Carrie Lam to probe the city's deep-rooted social problems and end the violence. Premier Li told Lam the unrest in the territory struck a blow to the economy. He said Lam had risen to challenges but demanded her government take urgent action. Li also lamented the harm the protests had done to society of Hong Kong as a whole. Well, the US says it will not accept North Korea's year-end deadline to make concessions in the stalled nuclear talks. Speaking to reporters, US Special Envoy for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, urged Pyongyang to return to the negotiating table. Speaking directly to his counterparts in Pyongyang, Biegun said it's time to finalize nuclear talks. He said it would be unhelpful if Pyongyang carries out a major military provocation in the near future. Biegun's comments come days after North Korea conducted missile tests at a satellite launch site. Biegun also met South Korean President Moon Jae-in in Seoul to discuss regional issues.
Fully aware of the strong potential for North Korea to conduct a major provocation in the days ahead. To say the least, such an action will be most unhelpful in achieving a lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula.
Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has threatened to close 2 strategic military bases used by the United States inside Turkey. In an interview, Erdogan said he will close the Incirlik and Kurachik bases if Washington sanctions Turkey for buying a Russian missile defense system. Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu said Ankara will not cancel its S-400 deal with Moscow.
We will close down Incirlik if necessary. We will close down Kurachik as well if necessary. If the sanctions are implemented, we will give them the necessary answer within the rule of reciprocity.
Well, staying with Turkey, and it says it's ready to provide Libya's internationally recognized government with any support, even militarily, if needed. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan made the commitment in an interview after holding talks with Libyan Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj in Istanbul. Erdogan said Turkey will be protecting the rights of both countries. He said the head of the Libyan National Army, Khalifa Haftar, is not a legitimate Libyan leader. Erdogan said Haftar represents an illegal structure. Ankara's latest move raises the risk of confrontation with Khalifa Haftar's forces. Lebanon has postponed consultations to select a new prime minister over protests against Saad Hariri's possible renomination. Riot police and anti-government demonstrators clashed for a second night in Beirut, leaving dozens of people wounded. Police used tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse rallies outside Parliament. Protesters came out in defiance of a violent crackdown on demonstrators by security forces. Meanwhile, Interior Minister Raya Al-Hassan has ordered an inquiry into the Saturday's clampdown. The incident was one of the most violent since demonstrations began 2 months ago. Now to Afghanistan, where security forces have rescued 12 people detained by the Taliban in southern Uruzgan province. In a statement, officials say 3 Taliban fighters were killed and 5 others arrested in the operation. The military said the special operations were launched to rescue the detainees. They said more action will be taken in the future to release other captured civilians. The Taliban have not yet commented on the raid. Bahrain's King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa confers the highest civil award on Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan in Manama. The 2 leaders met at the Sakhir Palace and discussed matters of mutual interest. Earlier, the Prime Minister held a meeting with Crown Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa. According to Pakistan's Foreign Office, the 2 leaders discussed the regional situation. The Prime Minister is scheduled to attend the National Day of Bahrain as the guest of honour. This is the Prime Minister's first visit to Bahrain since assuming office in August last year. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan will visit Geneva to attend the first ever Global Refugee Forum commencing tomorrow. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees and Switzerland are co-hosting the forum. As co-convener of the forum, Khan will articulate Pakistan's perspective, experience and contribution towards the Afghan refugees in Pakistan. The Foreign Office said the co-convenership is recognition of Pakistan's humanitarian aid and generosity to refugees over the last 40 years. During his visit, Khan will also have bilateral interaction with his counterparts and with the UN leadership. Now in Pakistan, they are observing their 5th anniversary of a terror attack on the Army Public School in Peshawar. 132 children and 17 staff members lost their lives. More in this report.
In Pakistan, wounds of the Peshawar school attack reopen each winter. It was the 2nd deadliest attack in the country's history. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, a proscribed group, claimed responsibility for the assault.
They came to attack us, they came to attack our education, they came to attack and take away our smile. Today, after 5 years, my only answer to them is a smile on my face. I will not bow down to the pain that they gave me. I will not bow down to the problems that they gave me. The only thing I'm going to look forward to is a smile.
In a tweet on the 5th anniversary, President Dr. Arif Alvi said the nation cannot forget the massacre of little angels of APS. He reiterated a pledge to root out terrorism and extremism in all its manifestations from the country. In his message, Prime Minister Imran Khan offered prayers for the survivors and victims of the massacre. Prime Minister Khan said the blood of the innocent united the nation against all forms of extremism and hatred. Chief of Army Staff, General Qamar Javed Bajwa, said the carnage will never be forgotten. He said 5 of the involved terrorists have been hanged through military courts. A number of activities are being held across the country today to remember the sacrifices of the innocent children.
Well, we'll be back with more news from around the world right after this short break. Welcome back. Now in Niger, leaders of the G5 Sahel nations have paid tribute to 71 soldiers killed in an attack last week. The leaders held a prayer service in Niamey beside the graves of the fallen soldiers. Burkina Faso President Roch Marc Kabore called for closer cooperation between the 5 member nations.
It is more than necessary that we work quickly towards a fully capable joint force. It remains understood that the support of all the states in the region, as well as of those in the international community, is crucial to the outcome of our fight.
Now, in other news, in Morocco, Gnawa artists are celebrating their inclusion of the music in UNESCO. The listing comes after Morocco submitted a file nominating Gnawa to the ICH service in 2018. More in this report.
Artists in traditional costumes paraded through the white and blue citadel town of Essaouira. It's a reminder the ancient art form infuses traditional music and poetry along with dancing. Gnawa performers make the art vivid with their loose, colorful dresses and hats decorated with false braids.
We are working to ensure that the Gnawa wins, as did our parents who wanted to make this art known abroad. The Gnawa deals with all subjects, all religions, all histories of civilizations. The Gnawa is an encyclopedia.
Performers take you to a spiritual journey with the rhythm. This is played with a 3-string lute, guanbri, and steel castanets called karakibs. The UNESCO nomination file emphasized Morocco feels the 16th century art is part of its culture and identity.
It is a consecration that honors all Moroccans, that makes us proud, and then honors all the Gwanas throughout Morocco, since this brotherhood is present in all regions of Morocco.
The Gnawa and World Music Festival attract waves of fans each year from across the globe.
Legendary US baseball player Babe Ruth's bat has been auctioned and it's sold for $1 million to a private buyer in California. Babe Ruth hit his 500th home run in a game against the Cleveland Indians in 1929 with the same bat. This report has more.
Babe Ruth may have died more than 70 years ago, but the baseball slugger is still turning out big numbers. His record-breaking bat has just been sold for more than $1 million at an auction.
500th home run is a big category, obviously, in the baseball market, and Babe Ruth is the charter member. He started that in August 11th, 1929. This is the bat that he used to hit that home run.
Ruth gave the autographed bat to his friend, New York Mayor Jim Rice, in the 1940s. It has been in the family for nearly 75 years. Another Ruth bat used to hit the first home run out of Yankee Stadium in 1923, sold for nearly $1.3 million in 2004.
Now in business news, South Korea and Japan begin talks in Tokyo to find a breakthrough in settling their trade row. The meeting is the first since Japan tightened export controls on some high-tech materials sold to South Korea. The discussions were led by South Korea's Director General for International Trade, Lee Ho-hyun, and Japan's Director General for Trade Control, Yoshija Ilda. Both sides discussed issues related to each other's export control systems. Seoul wants to fully lift export controls from Tokyo and other regulations against South Korea. Well, Indonesia has filed a lawsuit against the EU at the World Trade Organization, saying the bloc's restriction on palm oil-based biofuel is unfair. In a statement, Indonesia's trade minister said the decision was made after assessing scientific studies. He said the country hopes the European Union can change their directive after the lawsuit. The minister said the EU policy would not just affect Indonesia's European exports, but will also harm the image of palm oil products. The EU said palm oil cultivation results in excessive deforestation and its use in fuel must be phased out by the year 2030. Now to the stock markets, where across Europe are trading higher as phase one of the trade deal between the US and China have boosted investors' confidence. The pan-European stock 600 added 1% in early deals to hit an all-time high. London's FTSE 100 is trading nearly 2% higher. Frankfurt's DAX and CAC 40 in Paris has gained nearly 1%. Asian stocks were mixed, with mainland Chinese stocks jumping on the back of better than expected industrial output data. Indexes in Japan and Hong Kong edged downwards, and oil prices declined as Brent oil fell $65 per barrel. Well, it's 12 degrees here in Lahore, but let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, that's all from the team in Lahore, but we'll be back at the top of the hour with the headlines. And don't forget, for the latest updates on all of our stories, you can follow us on social media at indus.news. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.